Hi everyone, my name's Ashley. Good to see you. Even though I can't see you, you can see me, of course. However, good to do this with you. The session is called EDI Confidence, and it's something that we all need as educators, practitioners, teachers to get better at spotting opportunities, learning opportunities for EDI, but also for looking for opportunities to embed equality, diversity and inclusion in our planning, in our subjects, but also when they occur in sessions. So using naturally occurring opportunities in sessions, but also making opportunities in sessions to talk about and discuss. So when we're exploring opportunities for EDI, there are a few things that we need to keep in mind. So having the confidence to find EDI opportunities in your subject and not being nervous when it comes up in class, that's really important. Or, as I say, one step further, which is creating opportunities for equality, diversity and inclusion issues to come up in your sessions. The first thing to do is explore your hidden curriculum. That's step one. So hidden curriculum is things that your students need to know about, skills they need to learn, that aren't even in the spec. So these things aren't prescribed to you. You as the teacher, you just know that the students need to know this. So that's your hidden curriculum. And EDI might be part of that. Actually, it probably will be part of that. We are beyond treating everyone the same as decent EDI. And that in the past has been held up as that's what you should do. I don't treat anyone differently. I'm great. And in fact, that's not good practice at all. That's the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be looking for opportunities for celebrating diversity. And I think we all accept, and everyone accepts, that diversity is only a good thing. So it's looking at opportunities for making a point of that. Our duties are to challenge discrimination and ensure the students know what discrimination is, and actually ensuring that they don't go off into the world thinking that what they have said is perfectly fine. So, we're doing them a disservice if we don't say, look, if you use that language, if you present that really controversial point of view, it's not going to go down well, in life, and that's our job. Making sure there is equity is really important alongside equality, and that is acknowledging in our classes and in the material, in the things that we're teaching, that not everyone is starting on an equal footing in life. And that's not just in terms of ability, but also in terms of ethnic inequalities, in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of gender. We're not all starting from the same place, and that's the essence of equity. I think it's also really important that we explore our curriculums further, deeper, in more depth, to ensure that we are seeing where those opportunities come in. And often I train new teachers who have no idea where they can find opportunities for EDI, diversity in things like maths, but it's only when you really start to unpick the subject you know that there are things that you can discuss, there are things that you can get the students to explore, which would count as EDI, as decent EDI. You know, LGBT History Month. Well, who is Alan Turing? He's a mathematician. That's something that we can talk about. We can explore that. We can talk about what happened to him. Women in STEM, women in science, in technology, engineering, maths, exploring statistics related to, you know, not just the number of pizzas someone ate, but what about actually, you know, population, demographics, religion. That is EDI. Interacting, exploring international differences in how other countries, you know, do maths. How do other countries solve these mathematical equations, problems? So there are things that we can explore in all subjects without exception. So what I'd like to do is present you 5 short tips in terms of becoming more confident with EDI in practice. Alongside that, there is a short podcast. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. I think it might be like slightly more, which I was involved in with my colleagues, that gives some sort of good examples of what to do when challenging things come up in class in terms of controversial topics, etc. So I thought that might be quite a useful thing for you to access if you want to. So you got 5 tips and then a podcast if you're interested. So this is EDI Confidence, and that's me, Ashley Spears. If you have any questions following this, then do get hold of me. This is a real interest for me, and I'll help you. We can help each other. I just want to know the sorts of things that you're coming across. If you're having difficulties with anything, do just let me know, and I can help. Tip number 1. Use controversial remarks as learning opportunities. If you ignore controversial remarks as a teacher, it teaches the group that those words don't matter. And that could be doing your students a disservice, because, as I said, they will be going into their next place of study or the real world or the world of work thinking that they can say those discriminatory remarks, those offensive remarks, or have those extremely controversial opinions, and that they won't be challenged. Actually, they will be challenged in the real world. Offensive remarks left unchallenged can lead to minorities feeling as though they are not protected, that your classroom is not a safe space, even if the remark that's been made is victimless. For example, the typical remark of "that's so gay" when it is in reference to something that's broken or defective. Actually, it's not necessarily said maliciously, and it's not necessarily directed at someone, but anyone that's gay in that room will feel very uncomfortable that that's been said. So that has to be challenged by the teacher, and it has to be challenged publicly. So calmly challenge what's been said. It is easier said than done. It really depends what's been said as well. Some things are completely unacceptable, and some could be used as a learning opportunity. So I was doing a session on heroes and one student said that their hero was Osama bin Laden, which I found not only quite troubling, but it's something that I wanted to explore further. That was a learning opportunity for us all, and it led to a group discussion and also a discussion away from the classroom. So we're not just talking about, racist or homophobic language, but things that might be deemed controversial, out of the ordinary. Tip 2, balance in class and away from class discussions. As with all behaviour management strategies, you are, as the teacher, likely to get a different response if you have sensitive discussions away from others. If you challenge something publicly, just be aware that the person may feel embarrassed and therefore may argue back with you because they're embarrassed. They'll stick to their guns. If they're reprimanded in front of others, they may overreact. And that's why it is important to publicly challenge something, but then come back to it if it leads to a further discussion, or if you think it's going to lead to a further discussion. So I observed a session where a group walked into a classroom. The teacher had made a display on the display board of all different sorts of people from all different cultures. There was a woman in a burqa, and the students came in. One student took a look at it and shouted "bomb," and everyone laughed. All the students laughed. The teacher was horrified, but what the teacher did was they challenged that immediately in front of everyone. That's not okay, everyone, because if you just challenge that away from the classroom, then nobody knows that's going to be taken seriously. So look, that's not okay, and we're going to have a discussion about this after the class. It led to a debate. Recognize bias. Not just your own biases, and we all have them, which is quite difficult to challenge within ourselves, but also bias within our student groups. Spending time with just one culture is what breeds ignorance. So it's really important to mix your students and have different types of people working with different types of people. Spending time with just one culture is what forms the basis of unconscious bias. And unconscious bias is anticipating a behaviour based upon what we think someone's going to behave like, or our previous experiences of that type of person. It's really hard to get away from. It's not just about culture. It can be right down to things like student names, and we have naughty names, and we attach meanings and behaviours to those names because we've had a naughty Ashley before, and that is unfortunate. It's really hard to get away from, but the first step is recognising that we do it and recognising that our students do it as well, and we are attracted to people that are like us. It's about breaking that down. When people mix with those who are different from them, they become less of a mystery or anomaly, which I can't usually say. I'm really pleased with myself. Tip 4, ensure inclusion is the norm for your classroom. Is intolerance against your rules? It should be. And ground rules are so important, and actually the students having an input into those rules is quite important as well. They are to be taken more seriously if the students can set their own rules alongside your rules and your institution's rules for them. Look through your planning, look through your spec, and ensure that inclusive aspects have been sought out and have been utilised. And that's looking at the topics that you're going to cover and thinking about each one by one. Where can I discuss equality, equity, inclusion, diversity, discrimination, respect, that awful term of tolerance? Where can that come into what I'm doing? Where can that come into my subject? And ensuring that behaviours that are respectful are part of what everyone does in your classroom. So not just your subject, but also the habits and rituals of your students. And tip 5 is to navigate. It's not expected that you are to be the font of all knowledge when it comes to, well, anything really, but particularly EDI. The worst thing a teacher can do is enter into a theological debate about homosexuality, for example, with students, because you're just going to go round and round in circles. However, you shouldn't be scared of letting the students discuss that with each other and ensuring that you are laying the boundaries for what it's okay to say and what it's not okay to say. Students having their own opinion is fine as long as they're not inciting hatred or violence, which is illegal, but also as long as they understand that as soon as offensive remarks come out of their mouth, they may be going against the values of not just their society, but of their institution. And education is liberal, education is open and free, and it's diverse, and that can only be a good thing. But when you spot these debates coming, it's okay to say we're going to come back to this, because that allows you to do your research or formulate your response, and sometimes just to calm down, because some of the things we hear in the classroom are horrendous. I know I've had some horrendous things, and your instinct is to argue back because we're human. But actually, when I'm told I'm going to hell, which was on the regular at one stage, I lose if I get irate. Actually, I need to debate that point. That actually, that's many people's opinion, but actually there are also schools of thought that say I'm not going to hell, and it's important to have those discussions and hear all sides. And reflection is a big part of managing conflict. It's a big part of managing controversial topics as well. So reflect on what's been said, reflect on the debate, and encourage your students to do so as well. And then you can come back to it. Thank you. As I mentioned, there is a podcast where we discuss a number of things, primarily some examples of how to use controversial remarks as learning opportunities. So I think you'll find that quite useful, and I hope you found those 5 tips quite useful as well. It's something that we don't talk about enough, so if you want to carry on the conversation, just let me know. Thank you, everyone.